Welcome back, guys, to Beat the Game. It's been a while, so we're going to do something different. We're going to start a new segment, and I'm going to try to get these videos out maybe once a week, where this is going to be all about multiplayer deck building. So we're going to take characters, and what's fun about the multiplayer aspect is, let's say I want to play Thor. Well, Thor is strongest in aggression, okay? And there's no other ways where Thor, well, he's okay in protection now with the Ever Vigilant, but he's doable in solo Ever Vigilant. He's okay with, well, everyone's okay in leadership. But again, this is going to be focusing on what your hero does best and what is the best aspect to play your heroes in. So I thought Thor, he's the one who gets a lot of grief because of all of his low hand size and everything. So I built a deck where I figured, you know what, let's see if we can mitigate that low hand size. So this deck on average, we played a 3-player game against Green Goblin, and the only minions in the deck were Green Goblin's minions. So there was 13 minions in the deck, so not like overly abundant to make it just too crazy. So it was like if we added, let's say, Green Goblin and the Badoon, Band of Badoon. Well, there you go. Wow, now there's like 19 or 20 minions in the deck, and like, wow, half the deck, or even Zola with something else. So this deck is all about, if there's at least 10 minions in the deck, this is going to be a fun experience for you with this deck. Any lower than 10 minions, it might not be as consistent. It might be a little bit harsher, and it might be penalizing for the other players. Okay, so let's talk about what the deck does. All right, so the deck is all about getting minions either on your turn or on the other player's turn, and really focusing on getting card draw, card advantage, and then bringing a bunch of minions in front of you, and then all of us and clearing them all out in the same turn. So you get 3, 4, 5, 6 minions in front of you, and then you clear them all out, because you don't want to keep them there too long, or else you're just gonna die. But having a bunch of minions there, drawing a bunch of cards is going to be super fun, and you're going to be like, holy smokes, this deck is crazy balls. So we're going to start with the deck build. All right, super simple. So to make this deck work, all right, so there's basically 6 cards that are actually really good at getting us minions. All right, so the first ones are going to be the 3 Looking for Troubles. This is going to do some threat management, so you'll be able to chip in on that. So threat management. And then it gets you a minion. Now the other card that is going to get you a minion is obviously from your set, which is the 3 Defenders of the 9 Realms, which is also going to get you some, let me see if I have them here. So let's just put them all out there. So 1, 2, 3. So there you go. So now you have 6 ways on your turn to go get a minion and remove threat. So you're 3 from the main or 3 from anything. So that is super efficient for threat removal in a multiplayer game. 3 for 0, it doesn't get any better than that. So that is going to be very strong. Now, for the card draw, Thor is going to also want to steal minions from the other players. So as long as he has his hammer and he's aerial, these get over here's are going to steal minions and again make him draw cards. So if ever you don't have a Defender of the 9 Realm, or you don't have a Looking for Trouble, but you do have a Get Over Here, you will be able to draw cards. So you should always have a hand size of 6 and possibly 8, because if you're lucky, you get a minion on your turn, on the villain's turn, and then you get a minion from someone else, or you go fetch a minion and do some thwarting. So again, so you're losing 1, but to draw 2, which is very efficient. All right, so that right there, and it's all 0 cost cards. So that is super good. Now, also, once we have a whole bunch of these minions in front of us, so if we have 3, 4, 5, 6 minions, what's really cool is then we have this new card from Drax, which is also a lightning resource, is going to be Bring It, which Bring It, we can only play 1 per phase. But it says draw a card for each minion engaged with you. So this is very efficient, because then when you have 4 or 5 minions, it's a 0 to draw 4, draw 5. And even if it's a 0 for draw 3, it's still really good. So this, again, all these cards cost 0. Most of these cards are lightning except for the Looking for Trouble, because we want to be able to get our minions out and draw more cards. Now you're like, Steve, well, I'm going to take a lot of damage from all these minions. Yes, you know, and you might want to keep one or two still out there. If you don't, you know, clear them all, you keep one or two. If they're only hitting for 1 or 2 damage, you should be fine, because we are also playing 3 moments of triumph. Now, these moments of triumph are going to be very, very efficient, especially if they can double up. They're also going to serve for our lightning strikes, because they are everything we're playing is going to be mostly lightning resources. So again, we'll be able to play a lightning strike, you know, okay, now remember, lightning strike does not trigger with moment of triumph, okay, because it is not an attack. So that's something that just to remember, okay? Now, cards that are very, very fun, and this is going to be the only event card that we're going to run that is actually at a higher cost. So this is called the Dive Bomb, and it's going to trigger off the aerial trait. Now, what's very, very cool is once Thor has his hammer, he has the aerial trait. So we're going to be putting in a couple cards to help pay for that. So not only is Thor really good with martial prowess because it can pay for his hammers, his hammer throws, but it can also pay with team building exercise, because once Thor is aerial, exhaust team building exercise and pay a card from your hand that shares a trait with your hero. Well, look at this. This shares a trait with my hero. It is an aerial card. So aerial, then I get the reduction. So I can actually play the Dive Bomb for 2. So a Dive Bomb, 7 damage. Let's say you have a minion with 1 health, and then boof, you Dive Bomb off of these, bam. And then you have the hammer throws where we have 3 big attacks. So these are very, very efficient as well. And they're lightning cards. So these 3 hammer throws are also going to be able to combine. So once we have a little bit of damage on ourselves, we'll be able to heal right back up to our hit points. Now, again, to pay for the hammer throws, we have another cool upgrade, which is going to be the deft focus. So now we have ways to reduce the cost of this by 1. We got reduce the cost for this by 2. So basically, our big attacks are only going to cost 1 or 2. So superpower attack, -2, cost 1. Aerial and attack, boom, cost 2. So we've just reduced our cost curve by a ton for Thor, and that's super, super efficient. Now, some of the other cards we're going to be playing, combat training, it's just to bring our attack up to 4, which is, you know, there's a big minion, bam, we just punch for 4. It's great. You can also, if you have an attack of 4, you can also, you know, punch a minion that has 1 health and then use moment of triumph to heal for 3. It's as long as it's excess damage. It doesn't have to be overkill. So excess damage, boom. As long as you excess damage, you can get these done. All right, the other one is we're going to try to bring our health up with the endurance. So endurance with our helmet brings us to 22 health. All right, so that is pretty bonkers. All right, 22 health is really, really good. All right, now the big card that we're going to be wanting to play after that is quincarrier. So the quincarrier is going to help us always get our lightning resources. That combined with the 2 gods of thunder means we're going to always have at least 3 lightning resources to feed into our lightning strikes. We have 2 of those, which is going to clear all the minions. So also the lightning strike is now going to be free because we have the deft focus on the table. It is a superpower, so deft focus can be exhausted, and then we pay for 0 for a lightning strike, and then we can at least have 3 of these, and then minimum of 3. And then if you look at most of our deck is lightning resources, so we can do up to 5, 6, 7, sometimes even 8 damage in a turn with the lightning strike. So 8 to the villain and 8 to all the minions that we'd have accrued, and then we built up our board. So we built up really, really fast, and then we went in. All right, aside from that, Hall of Heroes is a card that I put in, but this is going to be one of the replacement cards that I'm going to suggest. Because, again, since we can stay in hero form a lot, we are going to kill a ton of minions, but we're not really going to take advantage of going down. We can. We definitely can. Like, once we have these like 3, 4, 6, 9 counters on there, then you probably want to flip back and forth every turn, because then you're going to have like, oh, I have 9 cards. Now, the thing is why I don't want to normally do it is because if you see, most of our stuff is attack events, and it's all stuff that you can only play in hero form. So Hall of Heroes, if it's not really necessary, but it is a good card to have in the deck. All right. Then we're going to talk about some of the allies we're going to be running. We're only running a few allies. So we're running, I went for a thematic Asgardian theme. So I have Angela, who fetches a minion, makes us draw cards. And then we have Valkyrie that comes in, you know, can do 3 damage to a minion. And then she's Asgardian, so she costs 0. She can technically cost 2 with team building exercise. And then we have Lady Thor, which can also, you know, deal damage and everything. Now there's a couple cards we can replace, and I'm going to talk. There's 3 cards we can actually replace, and these are the last 3 cards that I talked about. So Hall of Heroes can easily be removed to put a boot camp in. And you're like, why, Steve? Because then our allies are going to punch for a lot more. So that makes a lot of sense to help clear those minions. So boot camp is one of the cards you can definitely replace for Hall of Heroes. The other 2 are Valkyrie and Thor. Valkyrie can easily be replaced for Wasp. Now, why Wasp? Because we have tons of lightning, so we can pay for 3, and then Wasp is going to deal a total of 9 damage and 12 damage if we have the boot camp, instead of compared to Valkyrie's 3 damage to a minion and then 3/6, so 9 damage. Oh, is it the same? Yeah, 6, 9, 9. All right, so it's basically the same thing, but this is a little bit more versatile how you want to spend your damage. Okay, so this can be cheated for 1 instead of 3. And then instead of Lady Thor, you can put in Hercules. Now Hercules is most of the time going to cost you 1 or even 0 resources. Because if you have 3 or 4 minions, all right, and then you have a power of, and then you have team building, you can definitely reduce this to almost nothing. I've played Hercules for 0, and if you haven't played Hercules in a while, in this deck he is bonkers because he's so cheap, and especially if you can put the boot camp down, then he's hitting for 16 over 4 turns, which is so good. All right, and then you can maybe have other people, if you're playing other players, your other players can put med teams, and if you're playing with a protection, keep those guys alive, and then it just becomes ridiculous. So these are the 3 cards that I could definitely make a suggestion to replace. So I'll put the originals: Thor, Valkyrie, and then Hall of Heroes for a boot camp. Again, if you want, you can actually keep them all in there, and you can just be like, whatever. And then as far as resources to pay all this, we are only running energy, because the only one we really need. And then we are having the 2 powers of aggression. Now the reason why I chose powers of aggression is we do have some cards that are red that do cost more than 1. Okay, so combat training, and then this guy, martial prowess, and then we have either boot camp, Valkyrie, Thor, Hercules, Hall of Heroes, whatever, and the dive bomb. So again, so we can pay for those, but the main point why the 2 powers of are there is because they are wild resources, and then they will be able to be transformed into a lightning resource as we need them. So again, so this deck is really, really good. Once you have, the thing is, because we have Mjolnir on turn 1, we are aerial, and then we can get all these really cool combos off the aerial. You really don't need Asgard, because Asgard can come in at one point, but it's really not a mandatory card. If you got it, play it. But like I said, you'll be like, well, I'm drawing so many cards, I don't need to spend 3 Ressources on Asgard right away. But again, it's pretty good. If you have nothing to do on your turns, and you can always go look for it for Asgard, and then you have the Lady Sif that she can ready you and stuff like that. So that is the deck build. It has been played, it has been tested in multiplayer in a 3-player game, again against Green Goblin. If you haven't seen Brant, you can always ask him from the portal. And I am also going to try to showcase this deck on Friday with one stop shop streamline. So we're going to be playing Thor and Star-Lord. So this is going to be super, super fun. And then we'll be able to showcase this deck in action so you guys can see it. And it's going to be in a 2-player game. So it might not go off as crazy in a 2-player game, but it's still going to be pretty nice to see like exactly how this deck can draw so many cards. All right, guys, so I hope you guys enjoyed these videos. If you guys leave a comment. If there's anything you think I missed, or maybe something else I could have added to the deck to make it more interesting, yeah, please let me know. I know some people are gonna like, oh, why aren't you playing the 6 damage card there into the fray? Again, this is going to be a multiplayer game. We are going to have a lot of minions. My resources, I want to spend them mostly on drawing cards and then putting minions into play and then lightning bolting all of them. Or like into the fray is just for one minion. Again, it can combo off with a couple of things with Moment of Triumph, and it can remove threat. But between the 6 threats, between all the threat I can remove with Looking for Trouble and Defender of the Nine Realms, for 0, I'd rather pay 0 for that. Like I appreciate the damage from the minions, but I'd rather just be able to, Defender of the Nine Realms and Looking for Trouble. So this is the reasoning. This is the deck. Please leave some comments, and we'll see you next week for another deck tech for multiplayer. Check it out, and I hope this will help you beat the game. Ciao, ciao, gang.